will the 49ers trade Deebo Samuel this Thursday night? Because it seems to me, if it doesn't happen this Thursday night, it's not going to happen.
We're on the same page with that,
Yeah.
right? We're on 100% the same page. If Deebo Samuel gets traded, it's either before this Thursday or it's on this Thursday.
That's 3 days from now. That's 72 hours. Yeah.
Again, I think the Niners need, if they want to, salvage this season, moving off one of their best players, they need draft picks from this year, right? Trading Deebo Samuel to the Jets for, 2 firsts in 25 and 26 isn't going to do much for the 49ers this year. They got to get better this year. The 10th overall pick would be huge.
Although they did get Oren Burks and Ray McLeod, so they've done.
And George Odom.
Oh yeah, for sure. Did you?
Anyway, all-pro special teamer, though, technically, to be fair.
I'm sorry.
But if we're gonna go to the 10th overall pick, right? I do think there's one receiver in the draft. I've talked about it that's worth a top 15 pick, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of good receivers in this draft. I think it's a little overrated personally, but I think there's one, and that's the Alabama guy. I think Jamison Williams is special, but he's coming off an ACL injury. So I think that's the one guy you could take, but I also don't like the idea. I didn't like doing it to as much as I love Javon Kinlaw, and I've been criticized, in fact, for being too high on Javon Kinlaw. But as much as I love Javon Kinlaw, I didn't like doing the old 1-for-1 with him and DeForest Buckner and giving him number 99 and all of that. Just too much pressure unnecessarily on a player. And I feel like it would be a little bit of the same thing to Jamison Williams, because he could turn out to be a hell of a player, but you can be a hell of a player without being as good as Deebo Samuel, because Deebo Samuel is that special. So I wouldn't really necessarily prefer that, like, we trade, because rarely it works out like where you trade Stephon Diggs and you replace him with Justin Jefferson. That just doesn't happen often in the NFL. In fact, most of the time it works out in the worst ways, right?
Yeah.
Like you trade Jalen Ramsey, draft CJ Henderson, and he's already on another team. In 2 years. That's more likely how it works out, just by the numbers and the odds. So I do think that if they do trade him, it'll be by Thursday night. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not 100% sure on if they're going to trade him, because the issue is that we have no clarity on the situation, right? We still don't know what the issue is between Deebo Samuel and the 49ers. And until we know that, we can't predict about whether he's going to get traded or not, because we don't know if it's a big issue, small issue. All we know is that it made Deebo Samuel mad enough to request a trade.
Okay. Let's say they do trade him, though. I think this is how it's going to be tricky, because they can't just start calling teams the night of the draft that are like on the – they can't call Atlanta while they're on the clock and be like, you want to trade for Deebo? Yeah.
Because they got to sign Deebo.
It's like, okay, well, now you have to call his agent and work out an extension, and it's like – what basically the Niners, if they're going to do this, and they have to be open to it unless they're really stubborn, they have to be negotiating a trade with someone right now. And that team that's negotiating with the Niners has to be negotiating with Deebo's agent right now. So let's say it's the Jets. I mean, that's where the most of the smoke is coming from, that it's going to be a package involving that number 10 pick with the Jets, maybe more, maybe not. The Niners would have to hammer those details out right now and basically say, if Jamison Williams is on the board at 10, or if any of the top 3 wide receivers on the board at 10, we're good. If not, it's off. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And then the Jets would have to talk to Torrey Dandy and Deebo Samuel and say, if these guys are there, we make the trade, this is the deal we're going to present to you. And they're like, good, then they can do this. Otherwise, I feel like it's a very difficult trade to pull off. You can't really just call 4 or 5 teams.
The timing makes it difficult, right?
Yeah, like you have to kind of pick a team and work it out and hope it. I think it's the Jets. I think there's a real chance. It seems like there's a lot of rumors, smoke coming out. The Jets are offering 10.
And to be fair, maybe what if they already have a deal in place, and what if Deebo's already negotiating with that team, right? So that could also be a part of it.
Yeah. Yep. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting, is that there may be a deal in place between the Niners and the Jets right now. So like maybe some of the terms have leaked. I don't know. Some of the terms have leaked out. Because if the Niners are smart, they would just move on, take the 10th pick. That's a good deal.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Grant. Here's the thing about trading Deebo Samuel that I don't like. I don't really like trading star players for draft picks, because it never works out for the team that got the draft picks.
I wanted to pay Deebo.
What did the Raiders get out of Khalil Mack trade? What did the Jaguars get out of the Jalen Ramsey trade?
I mean, the Jets I would have paid Deebo. I would have paid Deebo.
Jets, for all their incompetence, are looking actually as the team that's trending the furthest in the right direction from the Jamal Adams trade.
True.
So like,
but all I'm saying is if the harm cannot be fixed, then you got to do this. I don't know.
But I think what I'm trying to say is I would rather trade Deebo, and it doesn't even have to be a star receiver you get in return, but get a proven commodity, whether it's a lineman or whether it's an edge rusher or something in return. I think it would make me feel a lot better about trading Deebo Samuel than just getting, a 10th overall pick and whatever when, the odds of hitting on a draft pick's already probably 40, 60, 40% you hit, 60% you don't. And then the odds of that player becoming as good as Deebo Samuel is like what? It's like 10% chance.
But again, to me, it's like John Lynch, like, what should I do? It's not an issue what you should do now. It's what you should have done before. You should have you should have offered Deebo more money. You should have never let this happen. You should have cultivated that
I mean,
relationship. I
right.
mean, now there is no solution now. He's offended. He wants out. You're not even negotiating. You got 3 days to figure this out. You got 72 hours. Like, the Jets are desperate. I mean, it seems like what you can
And
do is
Jimmy Garoppolo is
salvage the
still here.
mess by taking the 10. You could have fixed it months ago. You didn't. You went to the table. You tried to play hardball. This is how we do it. This is what you're worth. Yada, yada, yada. It blew up in your face. Just take the 10 before it gets more ugly. Because if they don't trade him, dude, what is Deebo going to do if the draft
Who
comes
knows
around?
what happens if they trade him? Because what happens if Deebo doesn't sign? Then
I mean, if
well,
Deebo
this
sat
could
out
turn
a year,
ugly.
would teams not want him anymore? Of course they would still want him. Honestly.
And the Niners would get a lot less value for Deebo if he sat out a
Yes.
year. He might not see the same money, but he's still going to see some money.
Yes.
And
They
I mean,
can't
the issue
force him
with
to play through injury like he did last year. He's not going to do that.
yeah, I don't exactly know what's going to happen, but oof,
Yeah, high stakes. I don't know if they're
yeah.
going to trade him either. It just seems to me like they probably need to have something in place with the Jets right now if they're going to do something. Otherwise,
Or
it's not going
Jets
to
or
happen.
Philadelphia or whoever
One of
else
these
is.
teams,
Yeah.
the Cowboys.